Hi, my name is Esther and today I'm joined in the studio with entrepreneur and innovator Chris Baggott. Hi, thanks for coming in today.
It's my pleasure, Esther. Thanks very much.
So tell us, who is Chris Baggott? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I live in Greenfield here, and I've been kind of an entrepreneur for many years. I had some software businesses that ended very well for us and everyone involved, and lately I've been involved with a lot of food ventures, Tyner Pond Farm, The Mug, Grigsby Station, Cluster Truck. So having a lot of fun with that.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. Tell us about college. What did you study, and how did that impact your future?
So I originally went to a college in Pennsylvania where I'm from. I kind of flunked out the first year. Took a year off, which was great. I wasn't ready, and having that gap year really, helped mature me a little bit, I think. And then I went to a school called Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, and it changed my life. The whole thing was it's a very Socratic education, student-directed, no last names, no tests. It was basically a liberal arts curriculum of reading, writing, and talking, which is what I've been doing the rest of my life.
That's awesome. So you're well known for starting two major companies, ExactTarget and then later Compendium. What was the vision behind them? How did you come up with these ideas, and what made them successful?
Well, I think, first of all, to be a successful entrepreneur, you really have to understand the problem. I think a lot of people, and I see it often with young entrepreneurs, where they sort of like, hey, this will be a good idea, but they don't really understand the problem. They haven't lived the problem. I was in the catalog business in Chicago and then later in New York. And one of the problems with the catalog was everyone got the same book, right? So if you and I both, for some bizarre reason, would happen to order from the same catalog, you'd get, offered my clothes and I'd get offered your clothes, and it didn't make any sense. And, it just got you thinking, and we worked on this a lot in the catalog industry of, how do I deliver the right book, the right catalog with just things that people want to buy? It would save me money. I wouldn't need the 100 pages of clothes that I know you're not going to buy. And that just wasn't possible. And then along came the internet, and, I realized that with email, I could deliver what we call dynamic content, the ability to deliver the right message to the right person. So you're going to get blouse offers, and I'm going to get short sleeve shirt offers, dynamically, and that became ExactTarget. So it worked out really, really well. I had a dry cleaners here in town, and we had about 5 stores, and it was terrible. I was a terrible dry cleaner, so another big failure. But I did have this direct dialogue with my customers. I asked people what was their email address, so now I could send out coupons and talk to them, and it gave people an avenue to complain to me, which I got a lot of complaints. But when you have complaints and you can deal with them, and like I said, that sort of was how ExactTarget got kicked off. And then, of course, we were able to build an amazing team. My brother-in-law, Scott Dorsey, was part of the .com crash, so he was available to move to Indiana and join us, and we were able to collaborate with a great group of guys. It was like a rock band that really, really went well, and it wound up being very successful.
Nice. So tell us a little about Compendium.
Well, Compendium was kind of a spin-off. If you think about email gives me the ability to communicate to people I have a relationship with, right? I can't email strangers. I can only email my customers. So how do you talk to strangers? How do you get people, new customers? And search is the best way to get new customers, right? People type in, I want to go to Hawaii, into Google, and whoever wins that search. So Compendium was more about how do I, we call it customer acquisition versus customer retention. Email is about customer retention. Search is about customer acquisition. And, I kind of realized that content was going to become really, really important for search, right? And, having the right content out on that search engine and letting people, again, discover the right content for them. Me as a 56-year-old person searching for Hawaiian vacation, and you as a 17-year-old person searching for Hawaiian vacation, we should be presented again with different offers, right? The only way we can do that is to have a lot of content well organized, and that's what Compendium. A compendium is a collection of similar writing. So, how do we organize content so the right message, again, is delivered to the right person at the right time via search?
That's awesome. So what made you decide to sell your companies and transition into agriculture?
Well, we had offers we couldn't refuse, which was, really, really nice. It was just sort of the natural progression of the company to be acquired eventually or go public. With ExactTarget, we were fortunate that we were able to go public and then become acquired. And an entrepreneur like me, I really like new, and so after I've done something for a while, I want to move on to something else. I read The Omnivore's Dilemma in 2006, and that really got my head spinning around how broken our agricultural and food system is. And it's like a rabbit hole. Once I read that book, then I read 20 more books on the whole subject, and read a lot of sustainable farming books, and just got really, really interested in it. And when a farm became available in 2010 out by my house, we bought the farm and said, let's put some of this into practice.
So I know you're big on trying to eliminate the grocery store, and that's like your idea here. What was your initial vision, and has that changed?
Yeah, I didn't start off eliminating the grocery store. I thought about how monopolistic agriculture is, right? There's one company, Monsanto, that controls 85% of all the corn seed. There are 3 companies in the world that control 90% of all the meat. There's no place in the world you're allowed to have a monopoly except in food. And it's a really unfair system for the farmers and the consumers, but really for the farmers. And as I started thinking about this problem and how do we help farmers, it becomes a market access issue. And that's where I really got started on the grocery stores, because I realized, and it sounds like you saw my TED Talk, I realized that the agriculture system we live in today is designed to serve the grocery store, whereas once everyone starts buying things online and I don't need a grocery store anymore, now I have complete access. And I use the analogy a lot of Apple Music. Before Apple launched iTunes, I had to buy my music at Walmart or Best Buy. And so they kind of curated, because they only had room for 5,000 songs, so they decided what songs I listened to, right? Or the radio station decided, when I was a kid, what songs I listened to. But when so instead of 5,000 songs, when Apple came along and they launched with 1.3 million songs, right? So now no one's making that decision for me anymore about what music I listen to. And that benefits the consumer, because we consumers now have lots more choices that, thank goodness Matt Baggott and I don't have to listen to the same music. But it also helps the artist, right? Because now the artist can get by and become successful with a lot smaller audience. I don't need to sell 1 million records to be a successful musician anymore. And it used to be, if you weren't selling 1 million records, you were playing in Holiday Inns. There was no avenue for you to sell your music. But now all kinds of even small musicians can make very good living because they now have access to the market. So the same thing happens when the grocery store goes away. As soon as people start, and it's happening very quickly, buying their food online, now they can buy from anyone they want. It's not up to Kroger to decide what food you're going to get. You can pick your food from anywhere. So that becomes really important mission. Sorry, it's probably a long answer.
It's okay. So I have a couple more questions. You have had success in selling both goods and services. And so what's the biggest difference from an entrepreneurial and marketing standpoint?
Between goods and services? I think I think both of my businesses really are kind of more services. Where we add the most value at Tyner Pond Farm isn't necessarily the farming, because we now work with, I think we have 10 other farmers in our network. So not only do we raise animals on our own farm, but other farmers are raising animals using our protocols. So we're able to help the local economy that way. And our best use of our time is almost in the marketing, right? Which is what I've always done, right? Is how do I help them sell more meat? How do I open up more opportunities for these farmers? And so Tyner Pond Farm really is much more of a service than a product company.
Okay. So what is your advice for success for young people looking into entrepreneurship, or just for anybody experienced in business?
Yeah, I think one of the first things for young people is you can never over-network. You can never know too many people and never meet too many people. So always take opportunities to meet new people and talk to them wherever you are, because you just never know what opportunities might spring up. And then the second is don't fear failure. I did a talk a few weeks ago at a conference called Fail Fest, and you had to talk about your failures. And I've had a couple of successes and I've had several failures, right? So my ratio, if you just look at it that way, isn't very good. I failed in college at first. I failed at the dry cleaners. I've had a couple other startups here recently that we've decided to shelve. you know, and focus on things that are working. But you know, I have had good success with Tyner Pond, and you know, Cluster Truck is going to be amazing. It is already amazing. I can't believe it. But so just keep trying things and don't fear failure.
Thank you so much for
You're
coming in.
welcome.
That's all the time we have for today.
Okay, great.